I'm Duncan, and I'm a member of the congregation of All Saints Great Chalfield. As is my wife Alison. As you can see, Alison unfortunately now has advanced Alzheimer's. She's permanently bedridden and will never leave our bedroom, but she's very peaceful and not in any pain. In my imagination, Alison still comes with me to church. I always find going to church a comforting experience, and sometimes it's even more than that, as with the glorious choral evensong that we had at All Saints for our patronal service just on Sunday. The choir, I think there's only 6 or 7 voices, and I don't know how many of them are professional, but the sound they made was ethereal, it was joyous and wonderful. Anyway, COVID is the subject. When COVID first came along and we, the powers that be, were all trying to make us frightened about this great disaster which was going to go through the world, I very quickly decided that I was not going to let it change the way that I lived. And the fulcrum for that decision was thinking about death and accepting that should Alison get COVID, I would fully expect her to recover from it because she's got a robust constitution. But if she didn't, I think she would say that the quality of life that she can now look forward to is such that if her time has come, her time has come. And it's exactly the same for me. I don't have a robust constitution. There's some history of TB in the family, and I've had bad asthma and rotten lungs, but I would also expect to see it off. But if I didn't, I don't really want a life without Alison, and if my time has come, so be it. The key part of that thought is my absolute conviction in the afterlife. It's one thing to be brought up as a Christian and to be told and to believe that there is an afterlife. But for me, it was 19 years and 3 months ago. I was sitting in church at St Clement Danes in the Strand. It was the church where about 3 weeks previously we'd held the funeral for our son Alexander, who'd been killed climbing on holiday in Switzerland. He was 32, the same age as our Lord when he was crucified. And of course, as a parent, you never get over things like that. Anyway, I was sitting in church and alone, and I suddenly felt Alexander, his presence coming up close to me, and the experience was so vivid that I can still recall it to this day, and I frequently do. And when I got home and told Alison, she said, "I'm so pleased because a week ago he came to me too. He was just up there in the apple tree, and it was as if he was saying, 'Don't worry, Mum, don't worry.'" And so Alexander's somewhere, and hopefully we shall meet again. But as I say, I have this absolute conviction that there is an afterlife that we shall all enjoy. The third reason for not worrying about COVID is the maths. I'm an actuary, and so I try and look for some numbers, and it's very difficult because the statistics that we're shown are unreliable, the data's unreliable. But there was a consensus forming quite early on, which has remained the case, that this epidemic is possibly 3 times as severe as a serious flu epidemic. So if we all get infected by the virus, about 3 times as many of us will die as die in a flu epidemic. So for me, in my late 70s, that means that if the odds of dying from flu are 1 in 500, the odds of dying from COVID are 1 in 150. So it's not negligible, but it's not such a large number which would cause me to lock myself away. So I'm cautious, don't do anything stupid, but I'm not allowing it to change my life at all. But I quickly discovered that if my approach to COVID was somewhat towards the cavalier end of reactions, there were a large number of people who were genuinely frightened, very fearful, and whose lives are seriously affected as a result of that fear. So when the occasion arises, I do talk to people and see if I can help them to confront their fear, because fear is often an irrational emotion. Think about it, think about whether the price that they're paying for that fear is a price that is worth paying. And if as a result I've helped some people to bring a bit more light into their life and a bit more normal activity, then that will have been my contribution to COVID.